Hey, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're a subscriber. I'm Riddle, and today I'm going to show you and explain to you how to make and the benefits of green powder. Now, if you're into nutrition and you don't have a lot of time or resources to eat fresh salads and the amount of vegetables and fruits we need every day, you may have seen products on the market that are called green powder or powder or whatever powder. And basically, they're expensive, and there's a reason that they're expensive. The reason they're expensive is it takes a whole lot of vegetables, leaves, and herbs to create decent quality green powder. But the thing you have to remember is the source of where that's coming from. And and it depends on how you dehydrate or preserve something and how old is it, because things start to degrade rather quickly if they're not stored properly. So it's best if we can make our own green powder. And what's awesome about a green powder is if you're not into vegetables, or you just don't have the time, or your family's not into vegetables, you just can't get them to eat a salad, you just toss a tablespoon of green powder into whatever. Sneak it into the gravy, sneak it into the soup, sneak it into a smoothie, and it's like eating a giant salad, which is great. So today, I'm going to show you the starting process of making not only a green salad, but maybe you do not have a giant garden. Maybe you have to get a little more clever, or maybe you'd like to bump up your green powder medicinally and not just have the, average vegetables and leafy greens and things in it. So let's go. Now, some of these will be familiar to you. Some of these won't be familiar to you. So I always say do your own homework, because everywhere is different around the world and around the country, and I tend to be in a little microclimate that has some kind of special plants. So first I want to show you, this is called miner's lettuce. I don't believe this was brought over by Europeans like the burdock and other weeds that cover our landscapes and fields across America. And the lore is that when the miners came to exploit the gold in California, this is what kept them from dying. It kept them from getting scurvy and developing severe vitamin C and vitamin deficiencies that would have killed them. And so every spring starting around mid to late February, this starts coming up in really moist, shaded, marshy regions all around our county. And I'm just really fortunate to have some in my front yard. And it's delicious stir-fried. It's delicious dehydrated. It tastes like lettuce, and unlike lettuce, it never gets bitter and it never gets tough. That being said, it has a very short growing season, just a month or two. So I really try to take advantage of it when it's here. And another nice thing about miner's lettuce is nothing else looks like it. Even if you're really bad at plant identification, you can see it has these round leaves and it blooms out of the center of that. But even without that, it's so easy to identify. So I've cut a lot of this. Now this is the stem is almost like a succulent. It's really, really moist. So I cut the stem into smaller pieces, because when you're making your powder, it's essential that your powder is thoroughly dried. If your powder's not thoroughly dried and you store it, it could mold on you, and that could be a disaster, especially after all the work it takes to make a green powder. So after I dehydrate my green powder, I actually will lay it out on a tray for a while, just to make sure that it has at least 24 hours, just to make sure that it has an ample time to fully dehydrate. Okay, what we're looking at here is curly dock or yellow dock. So because this is a deep-rooted weed that came from Europe, a lot of people don't know that it's extremely medicinal, extremely nutritious. And because it's deep-rooted, it tends to have incredible amount of minerals in the leaves, the seeds, etc. Do your homework on what you can use it for. I've read everything from infertility to skin issues, but what I'm doing today is I'm going to be picking these tender leaves, which you can actually eat and stir fry and enjoy in the springtime. And I'm also going to be drying them and adding them to my powder. So these are things that are in abundance all around. Another thing that might surprise you that's very, very nutritious is briar or wild blackberries, wild raspberries. You can collect the leaves and the tender shoots of the wild raspberries and the wild blackberries, and they are full of nutrition. You just want to be careful if you have tender skin, because they do have little thorns on them. But once you dehydrate those leaves, they disappear. They just become part of the powder. But I will collect a really nice amount of this wild blackberry. Of course, you always want to be careful of Mr. Poison Oak, who loves to grow right next to the berries and in thickets like this. How do you remember poison oak and poison ivy? 3 leaves shiny. That's the best way. 3 leaves shiny, and there is a gleaming example. Another thing we have here are wild strawberries. See this little sucker? So this is one of the original strawberries that was hybridized with other strawberries from other parts of the world, like Chile, to create the domestic strawberry. And these do create strawberries, but they're tiny and they're just a little bit sweet, not like we are spoiled with how we've changed the strawberry. But these leaves and the flowers, the tender shoots of these wild strawberries, very, very nutritious. So I will collect a bunch of these and put them in our mix. This sour grass, see it blooming here? Now, if you pick a piece of that off, you can see it looks like a clover. But if you pick a piece of that off and taste the stem, it tastes like a lemon. They're delicious. And also, you can tell from the color, lots of vitamin C, lots of beta carotene. I will cut a bunch of those and chop them up and put them into the mix. So here we are. We haven't even gotten to anything that I'm growing yet. These are all just common weeds that you can make a green mix with. And let's say something terrible did happen with the government, or we got attacked, or stuff shut down, because we saw a tiny glimpse of that during COVID. This would give you the ability to store something that was food stable, that was nutritionally dense, that you could give to your yourself or your family, even just in water. That would be a huge game changer in regards to not just surviving, but thriving. Imagine something dropped from the sky and everything was contaminated, though everything already is contaminated. Who's fooling who? But let's say it was something more, something more severe, and you couldn't pick your vegetables or anything out that wasn't uncovered. Well, if you were prepared, you'd be covered with this. This is goji berries. A lot of people don't know what a goji berry is. They're these little pink berries that taste like pure sugar, and they have super, super high antioxidant qualities. But what a lot of people also don't know is the greens are completely edible and hold the same nutritional value, more nutritious than spinach or lettuce or cabbage. So when my vines, which I've propagated because we do eat the greens more than the berries, all the way around, slowly moving them all the way around the fence line here, when these send their tender shoots out, I cut those off and add the leaves into my green powder mix. I think that's one of the things that help to really supercharge it nutritionally. You also want to add, because traditionally, before we had pharmaceuticals, everything was based in herbs. And there's a reason for that, because many of your most basic herbs are antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and full of excellent things that strengthen your blood, strengthen your health. So in this mix, I will go through. Oh, look, first strawberry. How crazy is that? Hello, friend. I will add a little bit of chive. Not too much. I don't want this to taste like herbs. I will add this arugula that's bolting already. I will add chickweed. I will definitely add some rosemary, this tender rosemary that's coming out. I will add some thyme. I will add nasturtium leaves. This is something everyone should have in their garden. Nasturtium does so many things for a garden, and the leaves and flowers are edible and full of all kinds of essential nutrition. I will put some sage in it. I'll put some mint in it. I'll put some bay leaves in it. I'll put some oregano in it. Thyme in it, of course, very medicinal. Lemongrass. Lemon balm. A lot of people have no idea. Simple lemon balm, so easy to grow, how nutritious and great for the brain lemon balm is. And the flavor's good too. So mugwort, I will definitely add a little bit of mugwort, but not too much, because it has a really bitter flavor, but it is really great for killing parasites in the body. And the Chinese kind of use it as a cure-all. If you ever get mugwort, don't ever plant it in your garden. I had no idea, and it is taking over worse than the mint. It's a big problem that I have to attend to every year now, ripping out fistfuls of it. But it is an incredibly medicinal plant. But plant it somewhere where nothing else will grow. Plant it in the far regions of your property. I add some chamomile leaves and definitely some fennel leaves. Yeah. So I think you're getting the point. You can, if you don't put herbicides or pesticides in your soil or on your flowers, you can put rose petals. Believe it or not, rose petals, full of all kinds of excellent things for the body. It's also one of the reasons they have rose tea is it's anti-inflammatory, and now they're linking all kinds of the majority of diseases to what? Inflammation. Okay, we're going to come down to just the regular old garden now, and then we'll wrap things up, because I think you're getting the point. The nice thing too about when you're making your own green powder, you can buy these mesh baskets that you can hang to dry things on, or to throw things in temporarily until you're ready to dehydrate them. They have them very inexpensive on Temu, and they're big. They're like a 3-tier thing, and it zippers in the front. I was suspicious, but I got one that's been great. I hang it in my pantry. So if you do that, then it's not like things will build up slowly, and then you'll have enough to actually make the powder. Because when you make the powder, all of this will make a very small amount, but that's why it's so expensive when you buy it in the store. Another thing is you can cut the leaves off of things in your garden that you were just going to throw away or turn into compost, something that's starting to yellow, or something that is overgrown, and add that to your powder too, because it still has nutrition like that. It still has nutrition, it's fine, but it's just not something you really want to eat in a salad. There's a movement the last couple of years or so that people were eating stressed vegetables, And I don't know, I didn't have the chance to really do the homework on that one. To me, it was a little illogical because it seemed like the chlorophyll and a lot of the obvious things would be depleted from it, but I never researched it, so I can't say one way or another. You have to always be careful with your certainties, right? So yeah, garden, take the leaves off of this, the leaves off of that, toss in some lettuce, I'll toss in some arugula, and definitely kale. You can't have enough kale. The nice thing too, people are always worried about, but I think it's just kind of one of those, you'd have to eat so much that it's not even feasible. But people are worried about alkaloids, and they really believe, and the Chinese really believe this, that you have to cook a lot of kale and these type of greens before you eat them, because that helps to destroy or lessen the amount of alkaloids in the leaves. But I think when you dehydrate the greens at a certain temperature, that's another benefit of dehydrating them and turning into powder. I think it achieves something very similar, but I would have to have that measured through a chemist, and I've never done that before. Okay, I'm going to take you inside. We're almost done with the video now. Isn't it nice springs finally here? Okay, here we go. So all this is going into this dehydrator. And how long does it dry for? Everyone always asks that. It totally depends on how humid it is where you are, what the temperature is, and what you have the temperature of your dehydrator set to. This has one temperature, so I don't really have a choice. Some people would argue that you have to keep greens and herbs at around 120 to 130 in order to keep the color and to keep the nutritional value. Do your own homework. But after it's dried in there, then it goes into the blender. I love my Vitamix. Vitamix is a great company that really stands by their product. At first, I just thought it was an overpriced blender, but then I was seduced by what I saw it in action at Costco. So we got one, and I've had this for 15 years. When things have broken off of it, they've replaced it. I really love the company, and this is a dry blade mixer. So this is specific to grind things, and it works amazing because look at this powder. So for me, because I actually do this a lot, this is a good investment for me. You may be able to find something similar or compatible, but I don't know if you have any suggestions for something that works that well, that is can compete with this. Go ahead and feel free to put it in the comment box. But here's the end product. This beautiful, pure green powder. And what I'll do next, I wanted to store it in glass and not plastic. And my dear friend Karen bought me this, and I haven't used it yet. But what this thing does is it pressure seals. It sucks all the air out of canning jars. And so it's like cool canning, cool canning. So the less oxygen you have, the less oxygenization, the longer your product is going to hold up. And I also put it in a blue-green jar, and then this will be stored in a cool, dry place, and it will be ready for whatever. It'll be ready for when I'm too lazy to make a salad or eat vegetables. I might even take it on vacation, like put it in a different container and take it with me when I travel, because sometimes it's difficult getting access to the quality of foods that I'm accustomed to here on the property when I'm traveling. And yeah, that's it. So I hope you liked the video. I hope it brought you into a new awareness and empowerment instead of frightening you. And I want you to take care of yourselves and take care of each other, because I believe how we treat each other on the streets is our ultimate reality. If you liked my content, please like, subscribe, share, dance, sing,